Here we are in Honduras again, and I'm here with my sister, Saama, who's not my youngest sister, but second to the youngest. And my darling lady here, Sharice, otherwise known as Aja. And I'm glad to be here with her because she's going to help me to understand what happened when Dr. Sebi, our father, passed, because I was unaware of what was going on. I was living in Hawaii. She was right here, so she's going to help me understand what happened, because there's a lot of questions about what happened. There's a lot of hearsay, a lot of innuendos, there's a whole lot of stuff, but we're going to clear all that up today. So, here you go, Sama.
Well, first of all, I'm so happy to have you here and see you 20 years later, and it's an honor to have you guys here at the village as well. And sure, I'm willing to talk about everything that happened as well during my dad's passing and before as well.
All right, so these papers right here represent what?
These papers here are the case and paperwork. So this is the case of everything that happened legally during our dad's process. Yeah, so I have all the papers here for what happened.
All right, so I want you to start in your own words to tell us what, from your perspective, from how you, because you was here,
Yeah, exactly.
what really happened, so we can clear all this mess up that's been
Of
going
course,
around
yes.
all on the internet about, oh, the government killed him, this one did this one did that. Oh, so many people even saying, oh, you know, your sister was involved and all. It's been a lot of garbage. So
Exactly.
I'm here to let you clean it up.
Of course, yes. So what happened was, you know that dad for the past years, he used to travel, and he used to travel with a large sum of monies, and he will never get detained and never faced any legal situations in the airports and stuff. So what happened was that 2016, if I'm not mistaken, it was in
You are
May.
absolutely right. I
Yes.
remember.
He traveled because he wanted to get some funds. He was having trouble with the banks as well, because they will make deposits, and sometimes he will get some issues with the banks and stuff. And he was rushing to build up his house back there.
Right.
So he traveled, and he traveled with a large sum of money from LA back to Honduras. He got in trouble with the government through the airport, and there was some legal issues through that, but I got the right lawyers, thank God for that. That happened actually in Roatan, in the island, when he traveled. I got the right lawyers for it, and they let him out with the condition that he had to get all the paperwork that we showed proof where the money was coming from, like the evidence. It had to be apostilled. So what happened was, by that time, there was this lady named Jenny, it was Pablo, and it was Agustin, which was the legal lawyer of the company, who was, I explained, I mean, they helped me sending all the paperwork and stuff in order to get him out, but still the papers needed to be apostilled, and I told them several times that in order for the case to be done, the papers had to be apostilled, therefore the case had to be closed, and he still wouldn't have any, like, follow up with the case, like it will be done, and he wouldn't have any issues with this.
So not to just cut you off, but what do apostiles mean? Because, you know, that's the first time I heard this
Okay,
term.
so apostille is like a seal. A lawyer in America or anywhere in the world has to get this government seal for each documentation, for them to know that these documents are actually legal.
Good, thank you.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what happened. And I explained to them several times that these legal documents needed to be apostilled so the case could be closed. And the only things I will get from them was they don't know what an apostille is, or they couldn't get the apostille. So the case was still open, but he was released, and he still was able to travel.
Right.
So therefore, the money that he traveled with was restrained, and they were going to give it back to him until he showed these legal documents.
Right.
So this happened. And then he traveled back again.
So not to cut you off, that first money they took from him, that was like $70,000.
That was approximately $70,000,
All right.
yes.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So what happened after this, okay, he traveled back again. He called me a day before he traveled back to Honduras as well, because it was a short travel this time. And he told me that he wanted to bring money. And I told him that wasn't a good idea either, because the case was open. And if he still traveled with this large sum of money, he will still get in trouble.
Right.
And they knew it as well. And when he was there, they were actually around him and they knew it. But he didn't care. He didn't listen at all.
Right.
And them, as well as being responsible as well of his economic parts and of the company, they still let him travel, even though they know he was going to be facing legal issues again.
Right.
So he traveled with another large sum of money, this time with Pablo. Knowing
Gotcha.
well that he was going to get in trouble. And since he already had the case open, he traveled back to Roatan and he still got in trouble with monies again. And this time it was more strict than what it was at first.
Because it was his second offense.
It was his second offense. So when this happened, that's when all of the sudden they decided that, oh, we're going to get this lawyer to see if we could get the documents apostilled and all that. And then they knew what an apostille was. So they
after the fact.
After, exactly. So they made me travel. I traveled to get the documents and stuff. I mean, I had those same lawyers prepared, the first lawyers that got him out the first time. I had the same lawyers prepared. I went back to the LA. I got the documents. The lawyer was there to apostille the documents and everything. When I came back, I didn't come with the documents. They never gave me the documents by hand. See, I traveled with Agustin, which was the lawyer. He traveled with me and he got the documents and he gave them by hand directly to the lawyer here.
Right.
Exactly. So when this happened, the court case, it was the audience, the same day that we traveled was the audience day in San Pedro Sula at the court. So he gave the lawyer the documents. And the lawyer, of course, he went through the audience. We were expecting the situation to be resolved because the documents were apostille.
Right.
And the issue that happened now was they didn't release him because the documents that he brought, the bank account that was in the documents wasn't the same bank account that they withdraw the money for. So because they were doing some kind of crazy stuff up in there, so they didn't let him release.
Oh, so they intentionally
Exactly.
put a different account in there that they knew. All right, now I'm getting to see the picture real clear.
Exactly, because they had a lot of, I don't know what was going on there legally or whatever, but the documents that he gave him, the bank account numbers were different. And even the lawyer explained that to him before getting in the audience, and he said that he did it, don't worry, we have everything handled and everything will be good, but it didn't went good.
So I have a question. How old were you in 2016?
I was basically 21 years old.
21 years old. That's a lot for a 21-year-old to handle. That's a, big business. So the people who were helping guide you through this process, or this is just what you knew? How to get him out?
Exactly. I just knew how to get him out.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was no people to guide me or nothing.
You was on your own.
I was on my own, basically.
So
and of course, I was following as well some of my mom's details and stuff. And she was also helping me because since I was alone, and my mother's my mother, so she basically had my back on my side.
Right.
Yeah. So that same day of the audience, after it was done and they still didn't release him, my mom went to San Pedro Sula and she coursed him out as well to see what was going on.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And the guy, what he told me, and he knows it's true as well, was Agustin, the lawyer who traveled with me after he got cursed out and everything because he know what the hell he was doing. When we were in the elevator, he was scared. He was freaking out. And he told me not to trust and not to listen to anyone else. And he knows that he said it too. Yeah, and that's all that he said. And after that, like, Dad went to jail, Pablo went to jail. They were still trying to manipulate my dad. You know, when a person is in jail, all they want to hear is he's going to be released. He don't care what anything else happened.
Right.
And I was trusting the lawyers that I got the first time because they released him the first time. The second time, the lawyer was telling Agustin and these people that they needed to send the right paperwork and they still needed to see if they could get another audience ASAP. But they were still doing whatever they were doing. They were actually manipulating my dad to be against this lawyer. And they got another lawyer who wasn't good at all. Because if he was good, he would have get him out. So they were just manipulating the whole situation, like however they wanted. So that's what happens.
So when cases become serious here, they go to San Pedro Sula.
They go to San Pedro Sula or Tegucigalpa. And that's the situation. The case, as soon as that got in jail the second time, the case was already sent to Tegucigalpa. I mean, San Pedro Sula. The reason why I still contracted the first lawyers was because they got him out the first time. Like everything went out smoothly. They were just waiting for these documents that these people irresponsibly wasn't able to send on time. But when the second case happened, they were trying to manipulate me as well in order to get this new lawyer, which they could manage however they wanted to. And they were trying to manipulate me and my dad as well until he decided that he wanted this new lawyer, which apparently never even had him out. And they didn't even pay him up to now for his work as well.
And I'm glad that you said that, because I know for a fact that lawyer was representing the individuals who Sebie himself was suing. Now, he's supposed to be representing Sebie.
Exactly. And he was actually representing Pablo. And at the end of the day, Pablo, he didn't even represent Pablo. The one who represented Pablo was another lawyer, which his name is Oscar Tejeda, and he used to work in Tegucigalpa. He's a lawyer from Tegucigalpa. That's the lawyer that got Pablo out. They didn't even use the lawyer
that they
tried to manipulate that for getting him. Exactly.
I understand that clearly.
You know that he was being judged for money laundering. The case wasn't just any case where you could just pay and be bailed out. Like this case was basically considered a
high profile case.
High profile case, exactly.
Because
therefore it was really hard.
Right.
Because he's well known.
And they needed the proper documentations to see that the monies were legal and everything.
Right.
And apostilled every single document.
So the bottom line is that the documents that he needed, they did not send properly.
They didn't send properly. The bank account numbers that were in the documents, it wasn't the same that they withdraw the money from. They have their reasons why, I don't know. But this is all the paperwork that were gone through.
And that's a lot of paperwork.
Exactly. That's all the paperwork.
As we can, what I'm really coming clear with is that they never wanted him to get out. They wanted him to stay in jail so that they can maintain
well, they were manipulating everything as they wanted to, so they had their reasons. They never usually say, after this happened, after the last time that I traveled with this guy, they were managing everything and I didn't have access to anything. Actually, they were making that being against all the persons that were really trying to help him. Even the lawyers who got him out the first time. They changed lawyers. They changed everything.
They changed everything for their own benefit.
Exactly.
And then they start running the company.
And they started running the company, exactly. And after that passed away, all of a sudden, Pablo was able to get out.
Right.
And dating one of the girls that his dad used to be with, which was a nurse that used to work at USHA.
Ain't that something? So he started dating one. Hey, you know, this is getting real interesting. It's like a soap opera.
So it is like a soap opera. So now that's what led up to him being in prison. What happened to him? Because everyone thinks that the government killed him because he was saving lives and curing things that they say that aren't curable. So what happened to him in prison? Did the government kill Dr. Sebie?
Well, honestly, I'm not sure what really happened. I just know that it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. The visits starts at 9 a.m. in order to go see someone in prison. So I was getting ready that same day, and they called me and they told me that he was dead.
It was Saturday. You had got up to get ready to go see him.
Exactly.
And they called you and said, you don't have to come do that because he's passed.
Exactly. I have one of my uncles as well who said that when he went in, because males in those visits, they let males actually go in first before women. An hour before. So one of my dad's cousins, he was able to go see him, and he said that when he went inside, he was the one who found him dead, and he was alone. And Pablo wasn't in the same room as he was because he was supposed to be there taking care of him, watching out for him as well.
Right.
He wasn't in the another room. Supposedly he was getting a haircut when that happened.
So wait.
He was alone, dead.
So when they went in there, he was already dead when they
Yeah,
went into
when
his
he
room.
went in there, he was already dead.
That sounds really messed up. So really, in reality, nobody know how he died.
So I've heard pneumonia. I heard that he was
Well, the doctor
on a-
said that he had pneumonia.
Okay, and then I also heard that he refused to eat because he was on a hunger strike. So to make his case known that so he was trying to get out.
He wasn't eating for the past days. Yeah, he wasn't for the last few days. He wasn't eating.
Yeah.
He wasn't eating. He was sick. He got in really, really, really bad depression, and it's understandable as well because all he wanted was to get out of there.
Right.
Right. So prior to his transition, when did you see him prior to that? Prior to that Saturday you went to see him, when was the last time you saw him?
Yeah.
The last time I saw him was on a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday, the last time that I saw him.
How long was he in prison before the transition?
He got in prison like around May and he died August the 6th.
Right.
Okay.
August
He was
the
in a
6th.
few months.
Yeah.
He was in a few months.
Let's talk about the prison itself. Now, I know a little bit about that prison. I know when you go into that prison, it's not like going to a prison in the United States. It's
Exactly.
nothing like that. In that prison, you have to have somebody who's going to bring you food. Your family either bring you food or you buy food from the people who's selling food inside the prison.
Exactly.
The prison is not run by the outside guards. The prison is run by inmates. They have a president, they have a vice president, and they have the head of what they call the rundings.
Exactly.
The rundings are the guys inside the prison who walk around with big old clubs who, if they deem that you're doing something wrong, they come and club you up.
Exactly.
It is the craziest setup ever. So, knowing that Sebie was in there, and knowing that he was well known in there, for somebody to go and visit him and find him dead in his room, to me, is a big ass anomaly.
Exactly.
Because everything in that prison, everybody knows what's going on.
Yep.
So we want to debunk some of the myths around around your dad's death in the prison. So he was eating well.
He was eating well. We had one of the cooks that was actually a worker from Usha. Her name is Anna. She was the one in charge of cooking for him and taking food to him every single day. And even if he wanted herbs, she'll make sure he gets his herbs and everything there.
So they could take it. Okay, so did he have someone to look after him, like a nurse or someone?
There was another lady as well. Her name is Lisette, and she was a good friend of him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So she used to be there taking care of everything and cleaning out his space and everything.
So there we have it. Now we've heard a lot about how Dr. Sebie was given poison. He was given something this, he was given that. But now we hear from Saama herself, who was there going to the prison.
Exactly.
So for all you guys who have all these questions, doubts, conspiracy theories, she's here to let you know, no, it wasn't like what you guys think. Now, we don't know exactly how he died because, as you heard from Saama herself, she said that his cousin went in there, and when he walked into Sebie's room, he was already in there dead.
Exactly. And I was getting ready right at that time to go see him. And one of my friends called me because the room already expanded and stuff. So one of my friends called me, which actually was the son of one of my dad's best friends. And he called me and told me that he was dead, and I didn't believe it. And of course, I got really bad.
The conditions in the prison. So it's not like I think in the U.S. where you have so many rights and so forth.
Exactly.
So were the conditions in the prison a factor, you think?
Well, actually, the conditions in the prisons, even though those prisons, of course, they're not like the U.S., like you said it, but we made sure that he had his accommodation. He had a new bed. He had a TV. We made sure, because you know how Dad was. He liked all his environment to be really clean. Exactly. So the bathrooms as well, we made sure he had new use ceramic and everything was well. Of course, it wasn't like 5-star luxury, but it compared to the rest of the conditions, I
He
would
was
say
living well.
it was living well. So everything was, he was living well.
In that prison, you know, when I first talked to a guy who I knew went to that prison, and I went and saw him, his name, he had lived down in Stambo Creek. He was a Muslim brother. His name was Ishmael. I said, Ishmael, what's going on? He said, man, you know, this is my room. I bought this room. I said, you what? He said, I bought it. I said, why are you buying property in prison? You plan on being here for the rest of your life? He said, no. He said, in prison here, if you don't buy your own space, then you got to be in
and
the
we
dorm.
were paying a fee
And
for that space monthly.
And that dorm is filthy.
Exactly.
The dorms are filthy.
Filthy.
When I say filthy, I mean filthy. So, now they have dorms that you can pay for.
Exactly,
That's
and
a
those
little
were
better.
the ones that we got for him, and we remodeled it for him as well.
Right. So, yeah, the prison in Honduras is a whole, what you guys imagine a prison to be, reimagine it, because here in Honduras, prison ain't nothing like what you think. It's a whole different activity.
Exactly.
Where there's no guards in there to protect you. They have convicts who are the president. He could have been the biggest dope dealer in the whole Central America, yet he the president of the jail. And then you have a vice president, and then you got the head, who is like the head of the police in the prison, the Rundings, who is also a prisoner. So all these folks are prisoners inside this prison. Get that clear. There's no guards running the prison. The inmates run the prison.
Exactly, and you have to have a good relationship with them as well. Therefore, that's the only way that you could make sure that he's well taken care of inside.
That's right.
He making friends with the gang members.
They were sitting right in front of him, listening to him. Actually, he was giving lectures and they were listening to him. So also what happened, something that had never happened in that prison was there was a shooting. So there was a shooting between the prisoners and also the guards. So the militaries actually. So there was a shooting, and we were all panicked. Like, it was crazy because of course no one was able to get in until the shooting stopped, and we were worried about my dad's condition as well. And once the shooting stopped, we were able to find out, and they said that he was okay and Pablo was okay. So they took everyone out of their cells, and they took them to the patio except my dad and Pablo. Like, they respected that room. That's the level of respect that he had as well.
I understand that.
So around a week or two before he passed away, like, he was starting to get sick, and that's when the doctors that gave him the blood work and stuff said that he was diagnosed with respiratory conditions such as pneumonia or something like that. So what happened was, one of his best friends, Hubert, he owns a hospital with his son, and he was actually requesting, because they didn't allow him to, all Dad wanted, he didn't want him to go to a hospital. He wanted to come to Usha village to get healed with his herbs and his thermal waters, but they didn't allow him that. The only permission they were authorizing was for him to go to a hospital. So his friend, since he owned a hospital, he wanted him to go to his hospital in order to stay there until he get cured, and he was able to use his herbs or anything that he needed from Usha as well to get cured. But since he used to get a lot of people that influence him a lot in a lot of stuff, and he will, you know how when you're in prison, people listen to everyone and they start to not to trust the people that he actually needed to trust. So someone told him that his best friend, he wanted to overcharge him, and he wanted to charge him more than, like, he wanted to charge him real expensive for his stay. And he didn't, all of a sudden he didn't want it to go. At first he wanted to, but then he changed his mind.
So yes, that was straight influence from outside. People telling him lies. Oh, you don't want to do that. He's trying to overcharge you.
Exactly.
So somebody wanted him to stay in that
there.
prison.
Exactly.
So that they can work whatever dastardly deeds they wanted to work on him until he transitioned out of here.
Like, so you believe that Dr. Sebi died of natural circumstances?
No.
You don't?
I don't believe that. I can't really say if he was murdered. He was murdered and he died from natural causes. But I'm explaining what happened throughout all this situation.
From the information that we
Exactly,
had.
and the information that we had.
So with us having this knowledge, how do we proceed? What do you think we should do? What is it that you would like to see happen, Saama?
I don't know. That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
No, because really, no, because I mean, I think about this and I go, all right, well, what really? I would just like to see what really happened come to light, because now they saying, oh, Sebie left us this will, we own the company. Pablo and Jenny been just they basically they've been saying they want to take the resort.
Exactly. Well, actually, here, these documents, part of them were documents that they sent from the States as well. And if you could see these documents, they were never saying that they were owners of the company. Jenny was a worker of the company and Pablo as well. So all of the sudden, after that passed away, they were saying that they were owners.
Exactly. That's what
But
I'm
in these
talking
documents, you could see clearly that they were never owners of the company. My dad was the sole owner of the company.
Right. Got you. That's what I wanted to clear up, because I confronted Pablo when he first got back to LA. I said, Pablo, what is this I hear about this will that was written that you and Jenny supposed to be the executors of? He looked me right in the face and said, I don't know nothing about that will.
And he was an executor of the will house. How the hell he's not going to do
I
anything?
said, wait a minute. You don't know nothing about a will that say that you are the executor? I said, Pablo, where are the keys at to the Range Rover? I said, give me them keys, because that car don't belong to you. He said, oh, it's not running. And then he going to say, yeah, I think there was a will. And that's when I had to stop Isaiah, because he was getting ready to leap on him. Because Isaiah was hot. He was like, man, he's lying. Because he's going to sit there and tell us this while we looking at him and tell us, no, he didn't know nothing about a will. Then he's going to say, oh, yeah, there was a will. And when I first confronted him and asked him, he said there was no will. And I wish his ass was sitting right there so I can say, do you remember?
We see in America and across everywhere, like Dr. Sebie's name everywhere. Exactly. We see people benefiting everywhere, from books to products,
the t-shirts, the cups,
all over the place. So I think the people need to know, like, who is the bona fide owner of the Sebie legacy.
Well, I will say the bona fide owners of Dr. Sebie's legacy is me and my brothers. Yeah. We're the ones who's supposed to be owning it because we're his kids.
Right. You are the legacy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm excited to see that, like, come out in a united front with the family, because it does appear like it's all over the place, and they shouldn't be able to run around carte blanche and just using Dr. Sebie's name.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that you're here to set the record straight, you and Asami, to set the record straight and let them know that his legacy is alive and well with you all here at Usha.
Of course, and the rest of them as well that are coming together. So we're gonna be just one.
Yes, we're planning a Bowman family reunion. We're going to come together and we're going to straighten this stuff out. So you guys get ready, because we're getting ready to build an empire that y'all been waiting on.
And there's more stuff, so just be prepared.
You
and
see all this
these will be posted online as well, so don't worry, because you'll get a chance to see everything.
So is there anything else you would like to say, Saama? Because you're such a sweet and cool ass lady. I enjoy knowing you, that you're my sister. So is there anything that you'd like to say to these?
And you remind me so much of my dad as well, especially your laugh and everything.
So whatever it is you like to say, feel free.
I wanted to say one more. I have been coming here to Usha the past year or so, and it's fabulous. I love it here. It's a beautiful place. It's a place of healing. The people and the clients are coming and being healed. Oh, give her a hug, babe.
Come on. I feel it too.
Yeah.
I thank y'all, everyone, for your support as well.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to talk about, and it's good to see, because you're not alone. You are not alone, and from all of your siblings and all. I gotta give her a hug. I gotta get out the shot.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's been a lot for you. We just heard from Saama, who was here, what happened with Dr. Sebi. Now, me, myself, I can't say anything about what happened to him because I was in Hawaii. And I made my way back to the States. And now I'm here to hear personally, with my own ears, what she had to say. And everything she say, I can't refute anything. I believe her. She had brought, I can say, closure for me. Because I didn't know either. I was just like everybody out there. Didn't know anything other than what I heard. So now sitting here with my sister, she have helped me to understand that it's still unclear as to what really happened. But we know this, that it wasn't no government conspiracy. We know it wasn't none of that. We know that he had gotten sick. And whatever transpired between him getting sick while he was in that prison and his transition, there was a lot of manipulation going on. So we're going to leave it at that.
And I have something I want to say
Please
as well.
do.
Before he passed away, like the days that he was starting to feel sick, there was this doctor who's a lady that also sees other prisoners as well if they get sick and stuff. And we were telling her that he was actually sick, that he was getting bad every single day. And she was just saying that she saw him good and that he didn't have the need to go to a hospital and all that. And all of a sudden he died. And also after he died and his will, supposedly the will that he did with Pablo and Jenny, it was claimed that he wanted to be cremated, which he told me once as well. And I told him that I didn't want him to be cremated. I wanted to exhumate his body as well to see if there was any residues or something that caused his death. And Jenny got upset because I wanted to do this. She told me that I was something crazy that I was trying to plan or something to exhumate his body. And I still got even the texts as well when she told me this.
So that means that they didn't want that body to be checked to see if any foul play had went on. So they just wanted him cremated so they can get rid of it.
She got upset because she said that I didn't respect his will. But I actually wanted to exhumate him, because I wanted to see if there was any proof or something.
Right.
And she was still going against that.
So that says a lot. So for all you folks out there, you've heard it. You can make your own decisions from what you've heard today, but what we are sitting here giving you is the information about what happened, about what we know. Not what we think, is what we know.
Exactly.
So you guys can take it from there.